injuries. First question for Mike. We'll start with Barry right here.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Barry.
Couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, how much of an emotional roller coaster has the last 2 years been for you?
Yeah, it's been a lot for this organization, from where we came from with these two teams picking second and third a couple years ago. Now to be here, it's very satisfying. All the work that went in, Torrey and his staff and our players, to be here, we're very proud of them and very proud to be here.
And also, could you talk about the evolution of Torrey as a manager since the two of you guys came over here?
Yeah. I think he's always been an incredible game manager. I think he does a great job in our clubhouse, relationships with our players. I think that has taken on a new level. I think when we went through the skid in the middle of July and August, I think that's where we really started to see him take control of some things in the clubhouse a little bit more aggressively. That, I think that could have sunk a lot of seasons, and it didn't sink ours. And I think he was a big reason for that.
Go to the third row on your far left, Mike.
So back to Torrey, you stuck with him after a 110-loss season. Obviously, this was the plan. I think maybe it happened faster than maybe anyone can envision. But what does it mean to know that you guys as an organization decided you're going to stick with your guy and give him the opportunity to continue to grow this team and now seeing the fruits of that labor?
Yeah, we talk about accountability a lot. When you lose 110 games, it's pretty hard for a manager to have that much impact on that. That's a roster issue. That's me. It's kind of hard to fire somebody when your overarching feeling is that you didn't do your job. So he was still doing a lot of the things. Zero complaints during a 110-loss season about that type of stuff, and I think that's important. Look, I make mistakes. We make mistakes. We don't always give them a perfect team. We didn't have a closer for the first half of the season. I never hear anything. Yeah, we need a closer. We can't win because we don't have X. I think those are important characteristics. Those are the things that he brought to the table. That made it a little easier with the question that you're referencing.
And then with that too, so building the roster, it seems like luck, skill, whatever it was, you've got a mesh of young players that feel a bit older. What's the secret sauce with that? Like, how is that just pure luck? What is it?
I hope not. I hope my roster construction isn't down to pure luck. I don't think the guys that work in our front office would really characterize it that way. I think our player development people do a really good job of raising our players, quite frankly. We put a lot of effort into developing them all the way through, from the second they get here to their families, to understanding who they are and trying to pour every ounce of energy into making them the best they can be. Watching guys like Brandon Pfaadt, Alec Thomas sort of step up on this stage when parts of their season may have been a little rockier, yeah. And no, I don't think we anticipated that happening. But that's what happens. I mean, Evan Carter's doing the same thing, right? I mean, see why I don't know what he would tell you his answer is, but I don't know that any of us have that magic wand to be able to put people on this stage in these environments with the anxiety and the pressure that ratchets for these guys, and then see them do baseball superhero stuff. That's the part that we don't know. But as far as getting to know our players and developing them, yeah, that we put a lot of time and effort into that.
Go to the fourth row on your left, Mike. Jason, did you have a question? Yeah.
Mike, what has it been like to work for an owner in Ken Kendrick, who, when he hired you, didn't offer you just a job opportunity, but offered you, as he's shown, a job opportunity backed by belief?
Yeah. Ken and Derek, for me, have supported me on a professional and on a personal level that I am truly grateful for. He very rarely, if ever, says no to me on anything that I want to do or pursue. He makes me explain all the things and all the reasons why we want to do it. And I really appreciate the freedom to be able to do this job in a way that they allow me to do it and that he allows me to do it. I think that's the thing that I take away from it the most.
Fourth row in the middle here.
Mike, I know when you go out and make a move like trading for Gallen, you're thinking about roster construction over 162 games, not necessarily individual moments. But Does the thought when you're making a move like that cross your mind that he's the type of guy that could eventually be starting a game one of an NLCS of a World Series for you guys?
Not really, no. We're trying to acquire the players that we think are going to, yes, lead a pitching staff. Where that takes you, no, I don't really go that far down the line. You never anticipate where this is all going to take you. I think when we made that move, we thought he was an impact top of the rotation starting pitcher. We have been proven right by that, clearly. The fact that he gets to start game one of almost every one of these series is very rewarding to see, and we're going to go as he goes.
I'll stay there with Tyler.
Hey, Mike. Obviously, when you made the trade, the Varsho trade, he wasn't a guy you parted with easily. But what was it that you saw in Moreno and in the opportunity to get 2 starters for 1 starter that made that deal important to do?
Yeah, that was a major piece to it. We had been lacking in both of those spots, and we were dealing from a position what we felt like was a position of strength. Dalton Varsho is an incredible player, and he's going to be for a long time, and we knew that, and we were giving up the power and the incredible outfield defense, but we didn't have a lot coming behind the plate, and right-handed hitting outfielder was something that we really needed, and that trade just kind of seemed to match up for us. Gabby has certainly taken extraordinary strides this season. I think it's probably fairly rare to see a young catcher, specifically someone that young at that position, come along as quickly as he has, and we're not here without either one of those guys.
Another deal a couple of acquisitions you made in season to shore up the back end of that bullpen. Can you just take me through what you saw in Thompson and what made you guys what made you pursue him the way you did, and also Seawald, how that came about, and what's that difference?
So Thompson, if I'm being intellectually honest, cleared unconditional release waivers. So that we all had access, including us, and passed, and he became a free agent, and we signed him on a minor league deal. So the guys in our office had been pursuing me all off season to go get him. I had talked to the Rays about trading for him at the time, but it didn't really end up happening. But they were on me, and we should have done this, and they were right. And it only took me five months to not be so stubborn and actually go sign him. And so we've benefited from having. Obviously, he hadn't pitched up until that point, so getting him on the minor league deal was important, so we could watch him go pitch and make sure that he was, back up to speed before we thrust him into the major league environment. And then Paul, look, we talked about this. I 84-win team, hear that a lot. I get it. I feel like once we solved some of our bullpen issues, which was my fault, the team doesn't look like it did 3 or 4 months ago for that reason. Getting Paul helped push everybody forward, solidify guys into roles, and I think, as you've seen through these playoffs, through the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, I think Torrey has a little more consistency with the decisions that he's going to be able to make, and be aggressive in that consistency with those decisions, and Paul has enabled all that.
Go to the third row, Gabe, and then David.
Hey, Mike, what can you tell us about your counterpart with the Rangers, and also your alma mater's ability to populate the game with bright minds, as well as
he's
folks who have
exceptionally tall. He's a very tall man. You look extremely small standing next to him. I just told this story on the MLB Network after they lost Game 5 in Houston, or in Texas. Sorry, we had just won a very emotional Game 4, and he sent Amiel and I a congratulatory text message. And I went around to those guys and I was like, who does this, right? And they were like, would you have ever done that? And I was like, being, devastated from Game 5. I was like, probably not. That's who he is as a human being. That's the real deal from him. He's incredibly smart. I think he said it. I'll say it. We were very fortunate to be able to attend a really good institution that fostered a lot of relationships that I have until this day. Some of those guys, our teammates, my teammates we have different teammates. I'm a little older than he is, that will be here today to watch. And Scott Bradley, our coach, is going to come, and who was instrumental for the both of us, not only in developing as baseball people, but also getting into Major League Baseball. We're not here. I'm not here without Scott. And so Chris and I had him come in as, it was like a thank you to be here to watch. And I hope he's rooting for us, but I think Chris got him the tickets, so he might be rooting for Chris.
Stay there with David.
Mike, it's no secret to you and the organization what Ketel Marte brings to the table, especially when he's healthy. But can you tell me about this coming out party, so to speak, for him? probably more of a household name, and also his maturation process in the last 2-3 years and how you guys have committed to him.
Yeah, I think getting him some stability on the field in a position, we tried to bounce him around sort of Chris Taylor-esque for a while, and that didn't, I think that probably took away from the offense a little bit. It put him in tough spots physically because, dealing with the outfield and coming into the infield, and so that didn't go. That was my idea. That didn't go the way it should have gone. So I think some of the inconsistencies were due to that. You talk about all the time, what does it take to win in the playoffs? It takes star players to play like stars, and one of our star players, and he's one of our star players, is playing like a star right now, and he's a major reason why we're even doing this right now.
Go to Pete in the second row, Mike. Sorry.
Mike, you mentioned your college coach coming in. Have any of your family from Massachusetts going to be here as well?
My kids are going to be here. My mom and my mother-in-law are coming here to Texas, which is nice. And then, yes, I have loads of people coming into Arizona for Game 3. So my sisters and my nieces and my nephews, they're all. My nephew told my sister that the thing he's looking forward to the most is he gets to sit in a suite and eat chicken fingers. So that's what he has to look forward to, Game 3 of the World Series. So she texted me that. It'll be awesome. They don't get out very much to see a lot of games, and we've always said, hey, if you ever get to the World Series, we're coming. It's a lot. They have a lot of kids. We all have a lot of kids, and so it's a lot to do to come across the country. And they just said they were going to pick up and go because we always said we were going to do it.
How much have your boys enjoyed these last few weeks?
I don't know. I don't know if I can put that into words. The moments that we've gotten together, thrown out the first pitch. They when we've been on the road, they haven't come. When we were in Philadelphia, they're all with my mom, my mother-in-law, watching the games, and she's like, you know how much they're enjoying it? They actually put down their phones every now and again to watch the game, and everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Go to the first row, sorry.
I think you said at the beginning of this that Torrey kind of took more control maybe in July and August when you guys were struggling, and I'm curious kind of how that manifested itself, if that's something you guys maybe had a proactive conversation about.
We talk about that every day from the start of spring training through the off season about how we're going to approach situations or how we're going to address certain thing that are coming up. With the baseball season, everything breaks all the time. We're always dealing with some part of our roster or whatever. We just and he and I were talking about, we just weren't playing well. We were making a lot of mistakes on the bases. That wasn't what we were doing in the first 3 months of the season. We weren't hitting the ball at all. We weren't hitting fastballs. Like there were some clear things that we weren't doing, and he began to call players in, have one-on-one conversations with them, ask what's going on, like why is some of these things happening. He had a team meeting at one point. We just kind of recommitted to getting back to doing some of the things that we had done so well in the first 3 months of the season, and he was relentless about that for the remainder of the season, all the way through the playoffs. And I think we are being rewarded for that now.
I got 3 last ones on your right here.
Hey, Mike. Just curious if you could talk about Geraldo Perdomo and the season he's had this year after some of his struggles last year. And then going back to that Gallen trade a few years ago, I'm curious how much his presence in the system maybe allowed you to feel more comfortable dealing away a guy like Jazz Chisholm. Yeah, we look, when you were making a trade like that, when we were giving up our top prospect in our system who was in Double-A at the time, we knew that was a risky move, right? Trading away a position player, a young position player that plays in the middle of the field, that is as dynamic and talented as Jazz was. We knew it was risky. Perdomo was different than Jazz, right? I think Perdomo was more of the true shortstop for us and defensive first, great on-base skills, didn't have quite the impact that Jazz had. We felt like in time that his power was going to come, and he's maturing every single day. We've seen the leadership skills. Even last year when he wasn't hitting very well, he would still try to take charge out on the field. Young players don't always get that opportunity when their OPS is where his was last year, but he would still do it, and he still demonstrates that leadership for us. And I think within that young group where you talk about who the leaders are, that's what's emerging for us. And I think that's what I'm excited about moving forward, even beyond this series.
Do 2 last ones, Mike. Far back on your left.
Mike, good to see you. How old was the nephew, the chicken fingers?
Oh, boy. You're putting me on the spot here. I don't know exactly how old he is. He's probably 7 or 8.
Perfect. No, that's good enough, man.
I can't keep track of my own kids' ages sometimes,
Dude,
to be
I
fair.
Right. I get it. I'm curious, man. When you add veteran players, it seems like you just
have a knack for, or you look for guys with postseason experience. What does that mean to you, and how does that filter its way through your clubhouse?
I think playing in these moments with these veteran players, with Tommy, with Longo, like, I think when they've been around this, it helps the younger players for them to walk through the more challenging moments, you know, when the stress ratchets up. Like, we can all say that, you know, everybody feels it, and it's normal, and it's okay. Like, this is the biggest stage. Somebody asked me about Andrew Saalfrank coming in and making his first, like, postseason appearance. I was like, that's our entire roster. Like, so you could ask me about any one of our players, and I would have the same answer for you. And I think that's part of our charm as a team, and why I think we go out there and have gone into Milwaukee and LA and Philly, notoriously tough places to play, and have played very well. I don't know if it's because we're immune to the stress or the anxiety, or we don't know any better. But either way, we've played good baseball, even in challenging situations, being down in games in Milwaukee, being down 2 to Philly. And I think those veteran guys help keep everything pretty stable.
The throw straight back.
Mike, circling back to bullpen questions.
Yeah.
Early in the year, the team tried the committee approach, for lack of a better phrase. That didn't work out. Was that more because, in your view, personnel issues, which you just rectified by bringing in a couple of good pitchers?
Yeah. Or
Or do some of these moves actually represent a philosophical shift for you in terms of constructing a bullpen?
I don't know. I feel like the personnel had the ability to tackle the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. I feel like Tori and I have talked a lot about this stuff since Rodney, Bradley, others. Having that 9th inning settled down allows him more freedom to do other things in front of that, and now it's kind of settled into a semi-pattern, but even before that, he had more freedom. And so philosophically, yeah, I've seen it. It's our team played better. Our relievers were better when he had the 9th inning locked down and knew where that was going. And whether that's a thing or not, that really happened to us in a pretty dramatic way. And so that'll be something that, yes, we're going to think about more consistently moving forward, of having that guy from day one.
I'll finish up 6 rows straight back.
Hi, Mike. Merrill Kelly, when you sign him, even he doesn't have any track record from the major league. What makes you make confidence when he came to the major league? He make a transition so seamless. He make a so seamless transition. Where was the confidence from?
We have really good scouts that saw him pitch. Went over there a lot and pounded the table for him. And you never really know how the transition's going to go. But they were adamant that this guy was going to be a major league starting pitcher. And we had seen some of the stuff tick up. And he's been even better than that since he's come over here. Again, I've said this about a number of our guys, but we wouldn't be here without him. He's had a Cy Young caliber season as well.
Mike, thank you so much. Make sure you enjoy tonight. Appreciate it.
I'll try.